I got a comment from a follower if I can help him make his render more realistic. I said send me the file and I will look into it. That's what he did and I got to work. I started by adjusting the clothing pattern in the 2D window. I changed measurements, moved points and lines where they should be, and deleted unnecessary objects. Then I continued by modifying the curves of the pocket with the curve point tool. I copied the outline of the hoodie pattern and sew it. I also offset the outline as internal lines for stitching lines. And I copied the right pocket with symmetric editing. Also sew it to the hoodie pattern and the internal lines I just created. To get a nice optic and 3D sewing lines, I cloned the pocket pattern on top and changed the sewing line type. I continued by adjusting the curves of the main pattern design by turning the segment points into curve points and deleting a few to get a nicer shape. Then I created an offset for the stitch line again. And I adjusted the sleeve cap to get rid of this corner. This curve needed to be changed to a 90-degree angle to create a smooth transition when sewn to the back piece. Of course, the back piece has to have a 90-degree angle too. The neck hole needs some adjustments too, and the armhole will get some stitch lines. And then I cloned the fabric pieces under and changed the sewing line types. Normally you would sew the seam allowance and create the stitch line, and you can do that in Clo3D, but for me it's faster to just clone the layers and make the fabric half the width. So in the end I have a nice stitching effect and it's still the same fabric thickness. I do it for the render and later change it when it comes to exporting the sewing pattern. Same I do for the hood and for the pocket flaps of the pants. Again, I adjusted the curves with the curve points. I just like it more than the handle, that's personal preference. Offset the outline as internal lines, layer clone under and change the sewing line type. It's the same process every time. Now I am lowering the particle distance and simulate the garment for a realistic look. Next I adjusted the colors and I do that in the colorway mode because there I have an overview of all colors for the objects. I tried a little bit around with the colors and I applied stitching to the parts that need it. Let's check the render with the details. It looks already pretty nice. I added a floor and